Ahmed Bin Sulayem, who is the CEO of DMCC.
Is the chairman of the Dubai Gold and Commodities Exchange, DGCX, is the chairman of the Dubai Diamond Exchange, DDE.
The DMCC can lay fair claim to be the most successful of the commercial free zones in the Emirates, trading in everything from gold and diamonds, cryptocurrencies, through coffee and tea.
Would always never expect, always inspect. Before looking at the situations, negative or challenges in it, look at the opportunities first, look at the pluses first. كلن يرى الناس بعين طبعه. You can't put too much stock in people's statements or assumptions. People see situations or others in the eye of their habits. So they're limited to that. You have to check. You have to verify on your own.
So the Sovereign Wealth Institute takes pleasure in honoring His Excellence Ahmed Bin Sulayem, Goodfellow recognition for his contribution to the world.
Let me formally introduce His Excellency Ahmed Bin Sulayem, who is also called ABS in the business world. His Excellency Ahmed is an Executive Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Dubai Multi-Commodity Center, also called DMCC. He is the Chairman of the Dubai Gold and Commodities Exchange, DGCX. He is the Chairman of the Dubai Diamond Exchange, DDE. It's an honor to invite Mr. Ahmed for a good talk conversation to share his inspiring stories. Some of the questions are going to be a little personal to understand your journey for us. How do you look entrepreneurship?
Within the family, I didn't go into racing or set up a property company. I joined DMCC in 2001 for work experience. It was before it was announced. It was in the concept stage. And I thought to myself, 10, 15 months, max 20 months, learn a little bit, and then go to the private sector. And that was 23 years ago. I'm still at DMCC, engaging with businesses, growing with some of the businesses we attracted early on. I know how to handle diamond, gold businesses, but I don't know how to do their job. I learned a lot. I mean, it all comes down to attitude. It comes down to determination. You could meet some of the smartest people in the world, and they do fail because sometimes they do lose hope. But if you want to see one common thing between them, it's determination, not giving up, and it's even when things are tough. So it all boils down to attitude. I've had that experience in the past few decades. DMCC is also one of the premier free zone for SMEs, startups. We've even seen family businesses that set up other activities, explore other venues. So it's a place that has a few ecosystems that are attracting businesses across each other as well.
What key lessons or values you have guided your decision making as a successful businessman today?
Go back to His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid's approach to challenges and opportunities. I'll just mention a few that he keeps repeating to his folks from the 80s, 90s, and even more so today. His Highness would always say, never expect, always inspect. Before looking at the situations, negative or challenges in it, look at the opportunities first, look at the pluses first. Because if you do it the other way around, you will not want to touch that project. But sometimes the upside outweighs the risk. And a bit of that approach you would see applied in DMCC in some of its milestones in the past 22 years.
Do you have any stories about overcoming challenges, achieving some extraordinary with the help or support of others?
I'll start with the crypto center itself. My colleague, my friend James Bernard, it was 2000, I think 14 or 15, and I was busy with so much matters at DMCC, Kimberly process, stuff like that. And James tells me, Ahmed, we'd like you to join the Dubai Blockchain Council, which today is the Global Blockchain Council. And my words to him, not my issue, I have so much in front of me. He said, just come for the first meeting. And we met with Noah Rafford. He explained blockchain, how it brings more transparency, cuts down the paperwork, saves time. The one thing that resonated with me was when Noah Rafford said, most of you don't understand this business, which was practically the reason I didn't want to be there myself. But he said, just like the internet, it will be part of your life. That part resonated with me. Later on, when I realized some of the bureaucratic banks and others were against it, who I know are not applying the best practices. For example, gold banking hasn't really changed since the late 70s. I became a supporter of blockchain and crypto, and I would push that forward. I'm pretty excited also with AI. The other two stories, I think, is something that related to two property initiatives. Coming close to 2004, I took a risk with the Diamond Tower. The Almas Tower, for those who have not been there, is the headquarters of DMCC. It's where the Dubai Diamond Exchange is based, where we have our gold vault, multiple facilities. But the original design was 40 floors, 20 floors hotel, 20 floors offices. And you know, in those days, I was the chief operating officer. I only had one comment to my management. I wanted the hotel at the bottom to free up space for the offices. That's our main focus. Now, I think in those days, and the same goes for the outside world, no one believed the diamond market would exist in Dubai because we don't have a history in it. We don't have a diamond mine. And the markets are established. Plus, there are other challenges. It's, you know, De Beers has a big piece. You know, there's a lot of myths about De Beers here and there. There was a lot of vagueness. The diamond industry was not transparent early 2000s, so I could only go with what people say. But I think my management at the time didn't really believe it would be a real diamond business. So they wanted the hotel on the top. The offices were not a priority. The more I looked into it, the more this matter bothers me. Security, different access. So I came back to my management and I said, I have a solution that works for me and you. The hotel is not on the top, it's not on the bottom. So the response was, so it's 20 floors. And where would be the hotel? It's not there. And I said, no, it will be 40, maybe 50. And they were taken back. Where will you get the business from? We will be stuck with an empty building. I can't predict the future, but my response to them was, fire me if it doesn't work. I didn't know it would work. I just thought it's worth the risk. And I kept adding floors as I saw the interest come in. And we only represented above 300 companies. I recall calling Munir Haider, the technical chair of Nakhil, increase one more floor. And he goes, Ahmed, we're going to basement 4 now. Fine. I pushed. We reached 63 floors of usable office space.
Wow.
And that changed the design a little bit because it's a double oval tower. So the second oval kept going up a little bit. I wanted to push even further. And Munir tells me, but for basement 6, Ahmed, this will cost you the amount of 5, 4, and 3 put together. That was my limit. I stopped. We took Nakhil's Oracle system, tailor-made it to our needs. Now, I can talk to you about how sophisticated Oracle system is, but the way I saw it during the launch day, it looked like buying cinema tickets. You buy the unit, it's gone, okay. We had 3 days for DMCC registered companies, 3 days for DMCC or commodity-based companies to register and then buy. And then 3 days to the public if we're stuck with a big piece of this building that's empty. Again, I can't predict the future. We were around 400 companies at the time. There was pushback on that approach. You know, you have no background in property. This should be with Nakhil. This should be with professionals. I said, fine, but let us have a try. Let us engage with our members. And then if we're stuck, show us how it's done. At the time, it bothered me to see properties being flipped 20 times on paper, and then the end user ends up paying the margin. I wanted to save that from our members. Let them use that money to fit out their office, for their trade, whatever. Anyways, I think they expected this to fail. And you can find this in the press, actually. Almas Tower was sold out to end users between 7 and 8 hours.
Wow.
I know for a fact that Ahmar al-Nakhil had to restructure their management a little bit because they had property sales giving them forecast of 12 to 20 months for residential buildings. There's a difference. Banks did not want to finance office units owned by corporations. They like it under individual names. The only bank that financed it was Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank. We lucked out with that. The rest was history. The next day we sold the Gold Tower, 30 plus floors. The second project I'd like to talk, and this is the first time I speak about it on stage, is the Uptown Tower, our new headquarters. We just moved there a few months ago. It's in the Uptown district where the future Burj 2020 will be, the tallest commercial tower, or one of the tallest commercial tower, minimum 600 meters, but if I can get away with 100 or more meters more, I'll do that. But in 2013, that was the announcement, to build the world's tallest commercial tower, you know, that was the big announcement at the time. I didn't name it yet. When Dubai won the bid to host the Expo 2020, we named it Burj 2020. Obviously, there were a bit of challenges back and forth. The district itself was a raised landscape of 5,000 car parks to be built at one go, and that was a challenge in itself. So we had to break it down in phases. Before COVID, groundbreaking ceremony was beginning of 2018. We did the groundbreaking ceremony for Uptown Tower, designed by the same designers that designed Burj 2020. Two of the three consultants that designed Burj Khalifa, Adrian Smith and Gordon Gill. So they designed a smaller version. Now the smaller version is taller than Al Mas Tower, which in height is 67 floors. By the way, above the level 63 is Dubai Eye Radio. They used the extra antenna that I pushed for to get it in the record book. As back to Uptown, it's 81 stories in height, 75 floors, mixed use. We started constructing it. I was confident about the tower. I know others might find it challenging, especially with so-called property experts saying that Dubai has an oversupply of offices. And they were saying that 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and it affects me to push our project forward because I have to deal with the board saying the same thing, echoing the same thing. Beginning of this year, JLL announces the amount of office space in Dubai is not enough to capture the new wave of demand. I'm looking at that with anger. You're the reason that we have too little offices, but we're building. We delivered that tower. The only time I was worried was when the COVID pandemic was at its extreme. But I can tell you, the development under Besix and my property team never stopped. The cranes on the building would get reassembled as it goes up. And it was delivered. I mean, structurally, it was ready towards the end of the Expo 2020. As you leave the Expo, you could see the building. DMCC's headquarters moved there. The crypto center is moving there. We have Gemological Institute of America took 4 floors, which is between 7,000 and 8,000 square meters. Most of the businesses based out of Uptown Tower, 22 floors of it, are in the shipping, oil and gas. We're there. Services for the front services will still be in Al Mas Tower, registration, licensing, services, DMCC engagement center. We will not undermine the DMCC, so the Al Mas Tower, but the Uptown has stood on its own. And unlike 15 years ago, it opened all at once. The hotel part, the amenities, the restaurant, and a lot of the offices, Litasco, a few others have opened up as well, Trafigura, all within the same time. That is, to me, unprecedented. I recall 15, 18 years ago when 2008, when I moved into Al Mas Tower, it was a chicken and egg situation. Some of the offices were still in their other old place waiting for the amenities. The services were waiting for the footfall, and we were stuck like that for a little while, but we moved on from it. Not with Uptown. And that shows you that the momentum is on our side, the trust is on our side. I know one individual from Turkey who booked a space for his Turkish Mediterranean seafood. I forget the name, he's gonna kill me, but I forget the name. And I asked Para, what made you pick that place? How many times have you visited? He has not seen it. He saw it on paper, booked the place. That is the level of trust. I don't advise that. I'd rather people visit, check, feel comfortable. Actually, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I remember me and my colleague Ahmed Hamza wore VR and checked out Uptown. We were just checking it out, just to make sure it flows well. I have to tell you, despite all that, I was surprised when I went to Uptown, not in a bad way. When it was about 40% structurally built, I paused. I wasn't ready for a building outside Burj 2020 to dwarf the Diamond Tower, but that's what we have there. I also sold my garden villa in the Palm, and I'm moving to Uptown, just so I can save time going back and forth to work, switching an elevator. There are 28 floors of branded resi. Sotheby's tell me that they've sold about 60 or 70% of it.
It's a must visit. I went to meet His Excellency Ahmed. For 30 minutes, I ended up spending 3.5 hours in the building. It's one of the must visit, inspiring, landmark infrastructure in Dubai. There's no way that you will miss out if you are in Dubai and driving down Dubai, the DMCC building. It's a dream come true. It's a great project. More than a real estate, he has created one of the largest free trade zones. More than 25,000 companies have registered under the DMCC. And you will see it's an ushering ecosystem there. You walk into the building, every floor, you can't believe the ushering ecosystem. And His Excellency Ahmed is always very kind. You will see him walking with the track shoes around every possible of the floors, meeting every individual guest walking in, greeting them, welcoming them, taking them and talking about the building and what DMCC can do to help to grow the business. And I'm extremely thankful for you sharing this, how this Uptown was built.
I'd like to say as well, I mean, in 23 years, I've worked with at least, it feels like I worked with 5 different organizations. There's the experience of before moving into Almas Tower. The toughest years for me was the first 2 years, where to start, what to prioritize. And then there was also the global recession years. We were barely over 1,000 companies when we moved into the Diamond Tower, and the global recession kicked in. And I have to share with you a story. I was going to move into another type of commodities business, more on the trading side, thinking I've handed things over. So my mind already shifted. When the global recession kicked in, I wanted to restructure, adapt, thinking to myself, my contract's still there, let's see what happens. Now, in those days, for those who remember, you don't know who's going to go bankrupt, from Iceland, US. I mean, you had these useless rating agency giving AAA to companies that went junk overnight. So you know something's off. That inspired one of our DMCC Crypto Center members, SWFI, to establish a rating system for blockchain and crypto companies based on machine learning and AI. Matthew Dixon, the founder, has gone through a few recessions and crashes, including .com and a few before that, but made his money out of the 2007 and 8 crashes because he knew the value there. He played it, but he wants to help. We had actually our best years from the global recession times. We were registering on average every year over 2,000 companies. We used the property prices as a reason for companies to come in. They can now have their management, senior management, afford to live close to where they work. And that resonated with them. We had a bit of a crisis as well, beginning of 2020 with the COVID pandemic. And I take my hat off to my team. We stood together, even though we don't see each other, we're all online. We engaged with a lot of webinars. And just to give you a perspective, a lot of the companies actually came from the UK. They were looking to get out, and they won't hear much, but they hear about DMCC. Now, last year, the UAE has over 5,000 companies. 40% of them are based out of DMCC. There's, I think, 1,700 or 1,300 US companies in the UAE. About 600 are based out of DMCC. That tells you a lot. In 2020, we had a record year. Over 2,200 something companies we've registered. 2021, 2,485 companies. And 2022, 3,049 companies. And just last year, 2,700 companies we've captured. We are in a different momentum. This perception that it can't go any further is limited to people's ability, I guess, or vision. But from our case, we have a water center that we're looking to develop. We're looking at bringing in a cacao center. not to compliment the coffee, but it comes after the success of our coffee center that's there.
I love to ask the question, why you're so passionate about the coffee?
The earliest initiative we brought in was the tea center. Early 2003, I was asked to meet with President Kagame and his wife. I wish I had a picture there, but I was actually anxious. And I was thinking my team were setting me up. Why would I be meeting a president? They're setting me up to fail. So I had the slides. Nothing was really built in DMCC at the time. I mean, 2003 is when we started registering companies and allowing them to operate inland till the free zone's ready. So we just started. We were an incubated startup under PCFC, Ports, Customs and Free Zone Authority. So I meet Kagame. I show him the slides. This is what we're doing for the diamond industry. We'll bring in a diamond exchange, possibly a commodities exchange. You know, at that time, we're not sure, but we're explaining. And after I'm done with the presentation, I don't know much about Rwanda, by the way. You know, if he asked me at that time, do you know where Rwanda is in the map, it would have been an embarrassing situation. At the end of it, Kagame goes, once your tea center is ready, I'm sending all of our teas to your facility. I had to ask the president, why? You don't know me, we're not Unilever, what gives? And I learned a lesson. I learned some of the challenges in Africa. He said, because I am sick and tired of our teas leaving Mombasa as Kenyan teas. I want to protect our identity. So I actually see other dimensions when it comes to African diamonds, African coffee, and agri as well. Coming back to your question on coffee, my team at the time, when we spoke about doing something related to coffee, they say, you can't. At the time, it's even drinking coffee. You don't hear about single origin specialty coffees. But they said it's established, it's not needed. When we would have our tea forums, the first tea forum, the gist of it was, what is the coffee industry doing that the tea industry is not doing? It was seen as a far-fetched initiative, but the tea seemed as a necessity. It wasn't necessary for coffee, but the tea industry do not like to commoditize their tea. They don't like to standardize it. It's different. Assam tea is different. Sri Lankan tea is different. Ceylon tea is different. China also on another level. But coffee was standardized. What triggered me is, I think in 2007, I heard about Raw Coffee setting up a facility to redistribute single origin coffee, organic coffee. It was trendy to say organic coffee. Today, it's a given, it's organic. There was Espresso Lab, but I think Eli Coffee, in partnership with a family from Al Ain, set up Liwa Cafe for a few years in JLT. Now, I went to the opening. It looked like Eli threw up in their cafe. Everything was Eli Coffee, all the photos, black and white and all that. But the other section was a barista training institute of Eli. I could not unsee that. Now, these people are private, and they had the guts to pull this off. And I thought to myself, what's my excuse? Fast forward 4 years later, I'm talking to PricewaterhouseCoopers, and they're there to assign what the next commodity should be. They had meat, and I had no argument with that. Then they had a bunch of other commodities. I'm compressing what happened. And coffee was like in their top 20. In any case, I told PwC, rather than having another 10 meetings while you screen what our top choices should be, let's save time. Let's replicate our success with the tea center in coffee. PwC didn't like that. They said, no, Ahmed, we prefer you use us. In case it goes wrong, you can blame us. To which I said, no, I'm happy to be blamed. I think they thought I would come, wish you all the best, let me know. But I thought it was time to explore coffee. They still said no. Tell us why. I said, well, with all due respect to your algorithm, had we assigned you in 99 or 2000, you'd never say touch diamonds. We don't have a mine. We don't have history. We're not a member of the Federation of World Federation of Diamond Bourses. So I said, you'll say all of these excuses. It would not be in the top 20. But here I am talking to you from the tallest diamond tower in the world, about to take over Belgium as the #1 rough diamond center, which we did. And with GIA coming in, our polished diamond industry is increasing. Dubai is also the #1 hub for lab-grown diamonds. In any case, the second point I gave them, Dubai re-exports between 30 to 60% of global teas. Knowing that 80% of countries that produce teas also produce coffee, I can't ignore this opportunity. I know there's a logistic advantage. The rest will follow through. Now, I didn't know whether we would need a roastery or not. We do. It's a full-fledged facility. The last point I told them, by the time our coffee center is ready, Dubai would have been a big coffee, would have a big coffee culture. I see the culture growing. I see the hub. I want our coffee center to be ready and in time for that, and take away the headache from the entrepreneurs and businesses of maintaining their facilities, running and buying the machines. We can white label it for them, and they can focus on their business. So obviously, you know, this happened. Dubai's become crazy with coffee. We host the World Championship coffee every year for the past 3 years now, and we'll only continue to grow. We've hosted also the AeroPress competition. An Emirati woman won the championship and represented UAE for the AeroPress championship globally. In any case, what really happened between me and PwC is me telling them, I'm not going to where the market is today, I'm going to where it will be. This is a quote from Wayne Gretzky. He doesn't go to where the puck is, he skates to where the puck will be. So if you don't do that, you're missing the boat every time.
Thank you, thank you. I want to end this conversation with one last question. What's your favorite Arabic quote? And tell me the meaning, if possible, and finally say why.
All of my Arabic brothers knows this quote. كلن يرى الناس بعين طبعه. You can't put too much stock in people's statements or assumptions. The quote translation of it is, people see situations or others in the eye of their habits. So they're limited to that. You have to check. You have to verify on your own. So don't assume. And this doesn't go to people's talks alone. This goes to the media headlines and press. I don't buy it, which is why I write. I write in Gulf News. You'd see me on Times of Israel, Substack. I don't care. But I make sure people who follow DMCC, commodities, AI, crypto, whatever this matter is, they have a reference. Don't depend on just the media. So I know that for a fact. I mean, it's not going to change.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Shah Ahmed, for sharing your wisdom and knowledge. Your stellar work serves as an inspiration to us all. It has been a pleasure and privilege to have you on the Good Talks. Thank you so much.